What's going on, everybody, for USA Muay Thai? My name's Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by the multiple-time IFMA gold medalist and the World Games 22 silver medalist who just competed on the Challenger Series, on the Challenger Muay Thai Series. And she's fighting on Prime Promotions 15 on August 26th against Charlsey Maner in Hammond, Indiana. That fight is presented by USA Muay Thai in Phuket, Thailand, Heritage Muay Thai in Houston, Texas, and the Muay Thai Advisory Group, with the winner of that fight going to the World Combat Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We got T-Money, Tierra Brandt on the show. Tierra, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Glad to speak with you again. The last time we spoke, you were getting ready to head out and shoot the Challenger. And it's airing over in Asia, and it's coming over here to America soon. But I guess for those who haven't had the chance to keep up with it or anything, just tell me about your experience over there and what you've been up to since the last time we spoke.
Yeah. So I think last time I talked to you, I was in Thailand. I was prepping to go to Malaysia for the show. Overall, the show, I mean, you guys will see it eventually, hopefully this end of this year. But it was a crazy experience. I mean, 12 fighters. We're all living in the same house together. We all had to basically fight to keep our spot. I can't say much until you guys see the show. I can talk a little bit about it just because it's airing in Asia, but I like to keep it a surprise for everyone in the States that wants to see it. It was great overall. I think everything between, I mean, the experience, the people. We were on an island, so like that was really cool too. All of us are really good friends now too, so I think it was just a great way to get like connections into the sport with other people in other countries. But you guys will see it. It turned out it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it did seem like that whole group got really close, and at least based off of your social media, it seems like you got especially close with Jazzy Parr. So talk with me about that relationship a little bit.
Yeah, me and Jazzy, we're good friends now. I mean, on the show we were the two youngest. We're only like about a year apart, so I think we stuck really close because of that. Because I mean, everyone else on the show is, late 20s, early 30s, is married or has kids, has fiancés, and I was like, this is just me and you. We're 19. Like we gotta stick together. But it's been great since. I mean, you used to be surprised how close you get to someone when you gotta sleep in a bunk bed next to them for the next month. But we were just training and fighting, and you always build that bond just throughout. Muay Thai is a really special sport, I think, because of that. I mean, training itself in that kind of environment, with cameras, TV, microphones, interviews, all that stuff is an extra like stressor, I think. So it's good, to build the connections with the fighters that we were in the house with. But I've gotten, we traveled to Thailand. We were in Thailand together, and then I went to Australia and I stayed with her family too. And then hopefully she's planning on coming out here, and she'll stay with my family for a little bit too while she's in the States.
Awesome. Well, so tell us what you've been up to since then. Obviously, you've gone through and won IFMA Gold this year, and then you've had a couple of fights beyond that as well. But talk to me about your experience at the IFMA Worlds this year, first time competing as an elite, if I'm correct. And then, so tell me about that experience and sort of how you've improved since you've been on the Challenger and since the last time we spoke.
Yeah. So I was just at IFMA last May. It was my first time. I did go up 60 kilos. It's my first time in a bigger weight class. I've been competing at 57 for as long as I can remember. I think since I was probably like 14 or 15 years old, I've been competing at 125. So it was my first like kind of step up in a weight class. But a lot of things have changed since the Challenger. I mean, the weight class is one, but I think my experience and just maturity, I think, has been leveled up since then too. I fought 4 times at IFMA this year. So I fought Estonia, Sweden, Czech Republic, and Russia, all within the same week. So I think 4, Eastern Bloc European countries are always tough opponents, and they all have kind of different styles. So it was good experience based off that. I got 4 different looks and 12 extra rounds to add up on. So there was that, and then 1 gold at IFMA, and then I went to Australia. I fought for the WBC world title there. That was another experience itself. Another big world title opportunity. If you see the fight, I thought I did enough to win it, but against a hometown local Australian, I was gonna have to knock her out to win. Not let the judges take it from me. And it is what it is. We'll hopefully see a rematch soon. But since then, we just, I got back home, and then we just went right back into training camp for this one.
Absolutely. I think something I noticed between when I first saw you at the World Games 2022 and the IFMA Worlds, my recollection at the World Games 2022 is that you were very more punch heavy, I guess, for lack of a better word. And it seemed like you utilized your kicks more in the IFMA Worlds. Is that something that you've worked on, or is that just sort of how things came along in the fight, or what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
it's kind of depends, who you're fighting. I think for me, especially, I'm very good at just like adapting on the spot. If something's not working, I look at my dad, he looks at me, and he's like, "We got to change it up," and we can change it up right then and there. At the World Games last year, that was technically my first time, I think, in the elite division. It was all open, so I was doing, I went from the youth, and then I won the U23, and then they got me to the World Games, and I was fighting the best of the best. So, I fought Iman Barlow in the finals, who's probably set up to fight for the one championship belt pretty soon. So there was that. But I think just overall this year, depends on who you're fighting, countries you're fighting. So if I need to kick more, I can kick more. But if I need to throw more hands more, I can do that too. It just kind of depends on, again, who you're fighting, where you're fighting, who's judging, kind of like all that. All those kind of go into factor. But I think just whatever my dad says, whatever's going to work, I can do that. So it just depends on that.
Yeah, I think that World Games 2022 division that you were in was probably the most stacked division out of all of the World Games divisions.
57 kilos is always 125 is probably the most stacked division for females right now in any sport, really. I think it's really common weight for Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, MMA. Like, it's stacked everywhere you go.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit why you moved up to 60 kilos. And this fight with Charlsey with Prime is going to be at 60 kilos as well. Is that just sort of, since you're still young, you're growing a little bit, is that part of it, or is that just a different challenge? Or
yeah, I think it kind of started off, well, again, I'm only 21 years old, so I think I was fighting at 125 for the longest time, and I wasn't walking around much heavier than 125. I'd walk around 130 and fight at 125, so it was just showing up on the scale. And I think after the Challenger, we fought at 122, and it was just a little like those. I had a couple bad weight cuts on the show, just because it was like, on the show, we never really knew what was going to happen. We were just like, it could be that morning, be like, boom, boom, you're fighting tonight, and you wouldn't know. So I think I had just my body just wasn't ready for it right away. So I came back home, and then I think, but there's a little bit of factor between that, and I'm growing a little bit, so I just walk around a little heavier than I was 2 years ago. It's just, that's the way female bodies work, and I'm a young kid, so I'm still growing, I think. So I just, rather than trying to cut more weight to make 25 still, I feel really comfortable and I feel really strong at 60 kilos. So it's not hard for me at all. So we're just kind of sitting right there, and then I feel strong. So we made the move up.
that makes sense. All right. So jumping ahead to this fight coming up in the end of the month against Charlsey, y'all spent time on the World Games 22 roster together, and are very familiar with each other. So talk to me about your thoughts on her as an opponent, maybe some strengths and weaknesses that that she has, and that you may be looking to exploit.
Yeah. We were on the World Games team together last year. We're friends, we're once you're on the team, I think you're bound to be like lifelong friends. We support each other. When I fought, she cheered for me. When she fought, I cheered for her. So it's kind of a mutual thing. But we knew, like, I think for a while now, like we were bound to fight each other eventually. It was just a matter of time and when. But overall, she's a phenomenal athlete. She's strong. She's athletic. She showed out at the World Games last year. So I think it's going to be a tough competitive fight. But I'm just excited to get right back in there. I've been busy. This is my sixth fight already this year. So I like to stay active, and I like to stay as busy as possible in order to get experience. And this is going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear maybe how you see the fight going. Do you do any, I think I talked with her a little bit about mental preparation and visualization. Do you do any of that to mentally prepare for your contests?
Yeah, I think visualizing and just like personal visualization is very important, at least for me, in fighting, especially. I always, I was always raised, my dad was always told me, just, you have to picture, if you go in there picturing yourself or even have the image of you losing, we shouldn't even be stepping in there right now. So every time I train, anytime I practice, you always have that image back in your mind, obviously winning the fight. But my visualizations come like usually like right before the fight. I kind of just sit there by myself, and I just kind of close my eyes, and you literally you picture your hand being raised, and you picture yourself doing things that you already practiced in training camps. But for this one especially, I mean, we train and we prepare no matter who's in front of you, what challenge is ahead of you. We train like this person's the next toughest opponent you're ever going to face. So, I mean, there's no underestimating anyone, especially Charlsey. I know she's a gamer, and she's going to be strong. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy whatsoever. But I've been preparing, someone's going to try and take my spot from me every time I step in the ring. So I think it's just like that constant push and battle in the gym. And then, once you get in the ring, that, I've done the work, and it's my time now. I've done the work, and I'm prepared to do what it takes to get the win.
Yeah. So obviously you mentioned the main thing that you visualize is getting your hand raised. Is there anything else in particular, any ways that you see the fight going? Is there anything that you are expecting to see once you get into the ring?
Obviously I expect, I think it's going to be a very technical fight. I mean, we're two of the most, talented females probably in the sport right now. So it's going to be a high level fight, and it's very a high anticipated one for females especially, but I think for all of, USA Muay Thai right now. I don't like to, pick and choose or like call anything out. I know Charlsey, and she knows me, so I think we know it's going to be just back and forth action. It's going to be explosive. It's going to be technical. But there's no beef or hard feelings or anything between us. So I've done the work, and I know she's done her work. So I think I just expect just fireworks at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then do you have a message for her or the fans that are going to be watching, or anything like that?
I mean, to Charlsey directly, I mean, I'm excited to step in the ring with you. I know it's been probably a long awaited time for the both of us. We've been eager. I think we've seen each other, and I've been watching you fight. You've been watching me fight. So I think it's going to be a good one, and I'm excited. I think everyone that's watching, and that's going to be their live or watching live stream, it's going to be a good one. So you should definitely tune in, and sponsors and everything. I also want to say a personal thank you, because this one, obviously the sponsors that are sponsoring this event, sponsors for me that are, helping put this all together, is going to be, it's going to be a good one, especially for, the future up and coming stars too.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and talk about that. You've been a part of USA Muay Thai for a long time now.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on how much this organization has grown, and what you look forward to most for the future of USA Muay Thai, just as someone who's been a part of the program, as someone who was winning in the youth levels when our elite levels were not getting that many medals. And now this year we were the second ranked team at the IFMA World. So just so much growth so quickly.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a part of just USA Muay Thai. We'll go way back. My mom fought for USA Muay Thai years in 2012. She fought on the IFMA team, and then my dad's been a head coach for a long time. So like my first year at IFMA, I was 14, I think. So I'm 21. I'll be 22 this year. So it's been a long time coming now. But to see the growth, where I was when my mom was on the team to where it is now, obviously it's changed since I was a kid. And we were like for a long time, like USA Muay Thai, we were always, the underdogs. Like no one ever expected us to win anything until, our youth team really started stepping up, and that's when it starts, and that's why I'm so proud to be a part of, where I am now, especially in USA Muay Thai, because when the kids started taking over, those kids, we were winning gold at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Those are going to be our future superstars. Once the ones that are fighting now, the adults, they retire, we're the ones that can step in. So I'm glad to be a part, of that ladder system. I was a youth world champion I was a two-time gold medalist in the youth, and then my first year in the U23 division, I won, and then I stepped up weight class and stepped back into the elite division, and I won gold there too. So I've kind of checked off all the ladder marks for USA Muay Thai, and I got to coach the kids last year too on the USA team, so that was really cool too. Um, but I'm just glad to be a part of it and to see the growth and where we're going as sport is going to be huge.
And are you coaching again this year? I know that you've got a couple athletes from your gym that are going to be on the team. Are you coaching, or is it just your dad? Or
I would love to, but I don't think I can make it this year just because I don't want to jinx anything. But I win this fight, then I go to the combat games, and they're like right back to back. So the kids are going to go late September, and then the combat games are in October. And you know how Muay Thai works. It's a pay to play. So we have 3 athletes going just from our gym. So we're heavily like fundraising just to get them there. And the athletes, their parents, and then both my parents are coaches. My mom's manager. So I cannot afford to go this year, but I would love to, and I would love to see them, compete. Like they're finally making it to that level I was at when I was a kid. But I'm just, right now focusing on this one and focusing on making the combat games, hopefully.
You mentioned you don't want to get too far ahead, but what would it mean to you to represent USA Muay Thai at the World Combat Games?
Oh, it means everything to me. I think my goal, since I was a little kid, I've always been athletic and I did other things, and it's every kid's dream. I want to go to the Olympics. Like that's the goal. And the combat games, I think, is a step closer to that. I've won multiple times at just the World Championships and in the combat games. Very similar to the World Games we had last year in Alabama. But this one is it's all combat sports. So you have Muay Thai obviously is in there, but you have boxing, you have wrestling, karate, taekwondo, all those other sports, all in one big arena, which I think is going to be huge. And it's in Saudi Arabia. Like, how many people do you know just say they went to Saudi Arabia to represent the United States? Like, it's a crazy experience. So I think I'll get through this one, and then represent USA at the World Combat Games would be a huge step in my career.
It's a very unique opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
Tierra, before I let you go, I want to give you the floor to give any shout outs and thank your sponsors, because I know you have a few. And then how can people follow you on social media?
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you, obviously, to my team here, Dance Gym, all my teammates that are, pushing me in training, and my coaches, my parents. But sponsors, I have like F3 Energy is really big. Thank you for them. Combat Corner is a big one too. But other than that, I want to say thank you to the sponsors that are sponsoring this event, because, without you guys, this would be nearly impossible. And, pay is not, I don't compete in this sport for the money. If I wanted it for the money, I would have picked another sport. I would have went another one already, but I love to do Muay Thai, and this is, I think, what I was born to do. So again, thank you for you guys that are helping on the show and sponsoring the event for me and Charlsey. But other than that, I think that's it from me, and I'm just glad to put on a show for you guys. And you guys can follow me mainly on Instagram, just Tierra_Brandt is my main page. But you can definitely see from there. Our gym page is at Dance Gym. But USA Muay Thai, hopefully you'll see me on there pretty soon.
Absolutely. This has been T-Money Tierra Brandt. You can catch her competing on August 26th at Prime Fight Promotions, competing for a spot at the World Combat Games. Tierra, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in the fight.
Yeah, thank you so much.